Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we begin, I want to officially welcome you all from 2020 and I hope 2021 is going great for you so far. Today I'm back with a tutorial. This is actually my first tutorial for this year 2021, so I hope you will enjoy it as much as I enjoy making the videos for you guys. So today I'm going to be using Robin. It's 100% acrylic, but I'm going to double the strands to achieve a medium weight. You will also need some scissors, and I got some new hooks here. I'll be using this. It's a G6 hook, and it's a 4mm hook. So this is what I will be using for today. And you're also going to need some stitch markers. With that being said, let's get to work. So this is the top we're going to be making in today's tutorial. It's really nice and simple. You just have to tie a knot here, or you can pass this in one of the stitches and get it to crisscross and you tie it at the back. So it will all depend on your preference. Okay, so to get started, we're going to make a piece like this. As you can see, these are normal double crochets. I did nothing special here, but this is the part we're going to start with because this top is made in panels and this is going to be the back part of our top. So we're going to make these simple double crochets and of course keeping these edges straight, as you can see. And then once we're done with this, I'll be showing you how to make the front part and of course the rest that's needed. Like I said, we're starting with the back part of our top. So you're simply going to make a knot, insert your hook, and you're going to chain 60, or you can make any number of chain and measure the chain from your one shoulder to the other, just to make sure that you have enough length for your top, rather width for your top. So I'm going to chain 60, and this is a size small to medium. So go ahead and make the chain, and I'll meet you back once you have that completed. I'm done with my chain of 60, and I wanted to show you guys the measurement for this. This measures up to about 12.5 inches without the stretch. So go ahead and take your shoulder to shoulder measurement and see how many inches you need to make for your chain. We're now going to continue with our first row. So these are 60 chains. What you're going to do is you're going to add 3 more chains, then you're going to yarn over. So we're going to skip 3 chains, the chains that we have added. So that's 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th chain, that's where we're going to place our first double crochet. So what I need you to do is work in the back loops only, in these back loops, those ones. That's where you need to insert your hook, right there. So you're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and in the back loop of your 4th stitch from the hook is where you're going to place a double crochet like that, and then yarn over, go into the next stitch and make a double crochet, and you're going to repeat this all the way around for our first row, making double crochets. So once you get to the end of the row, you're going to chain up 3. The chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet. So this chain This chain is, you can say that it's on top of this one here. So now you're going to yarn over and place a double crochet on top of the next stitch. Please excuse the noise, but just go ahead and keep making one double crochet on top of each and every stitch until you get to the very end. Alright, I'm left with one stitch here. So once you get to the end of your work, you're going to chain 3. Remember, the chain 3 counts as a stitch. Then you're going to turn your work, yarn over, go into the next stitch and place there a double crochet. So basically you're repeating row 2. So continue making double crochets until you get to the very end. I'm now working on the last 2 stitches. So once you get to the very end, remember to place your last stitch in the chain 3 that we started with in order to keep your work straight. So simply yarn over and place there a double crochet, and that is going to help your work stay straight at the end. So you'll be doing that. You're actually going to repeat row 2 and 3 until you have enough length for your top. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make the rest off camera, and I'll get back and show you guys how many rows I have made. So continue making double crochets, get to the end, chain 3 and turn. This is what I have now. I made a total of 25 rows, and this is what we have. And like I said, I'm making a size small to medium, and I'm sure that this is the length that I wanted for the crop top that I'm making. So we're now going to make the front part, and I want to show you guys how the front looks. So this is it. I'll put this aside. This is going to be the front part that we're going to make. There. So I'll be showing you how to start it and what we are going to be doing at the end of it. This is the back panel, and as you can see, this is going to be like so. So we're going to be making this front part basing on the length of our back panel. So as you can see, the back panel and this front part, they're all even here at the end, like it's the same length. So this is where we're going to place our armholes, and of course we're going to join this part here, and we're going to make two of these front panels, and of course the second one is going to come across like so. Once we're done with it, you'll be able to see how it looks. Okay, so now that I have shown you guys this, let's go ahead and make it. We're going to start by making this. This is the half double crochet made in back loops only. So you're going to make a knot, insert your hook and chain 6. So make a chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And once you have your chain of 6, you're going to yarn over going to yarn over and skip this first chain, this chain from the hook, and into the second chain you're going to place there a half double crochet. And we're doing the same thing we did with the chain on this back panel. We are turning the chain so we can work in the back loops only. So make half double crochets into the next stitch. So once you get to the end, you're going to chain 2, turn your work, and now you're going to start working into these back loops here. Those are the loops we're going to be working into. So you're going to yarn over, go in the back loop and make a half double crochet, and into the next make a half double crochet, insert your hook into the next stitch, back loop and make a half double crochet, and then you're going to make half double crochets in all the loops. Okay, and your work should be looking like this so far. Chain 2, turn your work, yarn over into that very first stitch, go into the back loop and make a half double crochet, yarn over, go into the next back loop and make a half double crochet, and you're going to keep repeating this until this is long enough to the length that you want, because it has to tie at the back or in front, however where you decide to style this top. So chain 2, turn your work and repeat row 2 and 3. Make half double crochets in each back loops until you get to the very end, and remember we have to keep the edges straight, so you need to keep count of your stitches. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The chain 2 is counting as a stitch, so we have 6 stitches here. So keep repeating that until you have 50 rows complete. So I just completed my last row of the half double crochet. So what you're going to do is get your stitch marker and mark that last row you just made. Mark it. So from this row we're going to start making our increases, just like you see this one. We're going to start working on increasing on both sides, as I'll be showing you as we go now. So now you're going to chain up 3, turn your work. Remember, we've been working in the back loops only while making these half double crochets. So starting from this row where we're starting our increases from, we're going to start working into both loops. Like you have to go into these 2 loops. So you're going to yarn over, and into this next stitch you're going to place the 2 double crochets, and then you're going to place 1 double crochet in next 3 stitches. And into the last one, which is this one right here, you're going to place the 2 double crochets. There, and there we have our first increase. As you can see, we are increasing on both sides. Okay, then chain up 3, turn your work, yarn over, and into this first stitch here you're going to place the 2 double crochets, and then make 1 double crochet into the next stitches until you have 1 stitch left. So this one right here is my last stitch, and I'm going to place the 2 double crochets like that. We now have 2 rows of our increases. Chain 3, turn your work, yarn over, and into this first stitch place the 2 double crochets, and then make 1 double crochet into each and every stitch until you have only 1 left. That's what you're going to keep repeating as your work grows or becomes bigger to the size that you want, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So at every end of the row you're going to place the 2 double crochets as you've seen here. This is how my work looks. I'm going to show you guys one more time. So chain 3, turn your work, yarn over, and into this very first stitch you're going to place the 2 double crochets, and then you're going to make 1 double crochet in the rest of the stitches until you have only 1 left. So until you have only 1 stitch left, continue with the double crochets in each and every stitch. Sorry. So this is the very last one. Place the 2 double crochets, and then you'd have to repeat that row until you have something like this, like until you see that it's bigger. You're going to continue with this, and as you go you're going to keep measuring it on the back panel. You will keep measuring the front panel to the back panel until you see that it's on the same level, because it's going to be like this, so that we can split it and have the armholes, and then we're going to join this down part, and you're going to make 2 of these, and then I'll show you how to join it here shortly. By now you must have finished your front panel, and you're going to make the second one the exact same way, and as you can see, this is how it's going to be. We're going to join part of this here, and of course join here on top, and then leave out the armholes. So this is going to be like this, and then you get the second piece, and you're also going to join it here the exact same way. You join here and leave the armholes out, and this is going to be the neck part over top. So we're going to go ahead and join it. Remember, you have to join this from the wrong side, so you're going to figure out which side is going to be the inside part, and then yep, just align it very well like it should be. So I'm going to start joining from here. Oh, this one came out. So I'm going to start joining from here, from the corner, and I'm going to join until I get somewhere, and you have to know the space you need for your armholes. So I'm just going to join and leave enough space for the armholes. So I'm going to join with single crochets, but feel free to use any stitch that's easy for you. So I'm simply going to attach this here like that. And then we're going to start joining with the single crochets. As you know, there is no actual stitch for the back panel, so I'm just going to go through the loops like that. Making single crochets. You can put 2 single crochets if you feel like it's needed, but I'm making 1 single crochet in each space. I have joined up to here now, and I feel that this is enough space for the armholes, and this is what I have left out. So now I'm going to go back in that same space and make a slip stitch like so. Chain 1 and then cut the yarn off. Leave a tail to weave in later. So now we have joined this part here, and this is how it looks. So you're going to go ahead and join the second piece the same exact way, and I'll meet you back once you're done with that. And I'm sorry, remember to attach this point as well here up. Just join this corner here. I'll show you. Insert your hook in both sides. Get your piece of yarn, make a loop. Make a single crochet. Chain 1, then go back in that same space, and of course make sure you go through the back piece as well and make a single crochet, and then in that same space make a slip stitch, then chain 1 and cut. Pull tight, and all this will be weaved in later. So now clearly we have an armhole right here. Yeah. So go ahead and join the second piece as well, and I'll meet you back once you're done with that. Remember to join it from the wrong side, please. So while making the armholes, I really didn't measure this, but when I count these stitches here, I have left out 24 stitches for the armholes here, and that's what I plan on doing with this second piece. I'll just count 25 here, and as long as it matches with it's on the same level with the back panel, I'll be good to go. So yeah, go ahead and complete that. So here we are after joining, and this is how our work looks so far. Okay, I'm back, and I quickly went ahead and worked on this sleeve right here. This is how it looks. I made it into a puff sleeve up here around the shoulders, so I'm just going to show you how to do it on the second sleeve. So let's continue with our project. Okay, so you're going to make a knot with the color that you're using. Make a knot, and then you're going to reattach the yarn in this is where we joined from, so you're simply going to reattach your yarn from there. Then chain up 3, then yarn over, back in that same space, make a double crochet, yarn over, and you're going to skip this next space, rather this one here, and make 2 double crochets into the next space. Yarn over, skip the next space, make 2 double crochet into the next stitch, yarn over, skip the next stitch and make 2 double crochets into the next stitch, skip the next stitch and make 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And that's what we are doing on this part, which has stitches on it. As you can see, skip 1, 2 double crochets into the next, skip a stitch, 2 double crochets into the next, until you get to this side which doesn't have the actual stitches. So once you get to this point here, we have now started working on this side which doesn't have stitches or actual stitches. So for this side, we're just going to work into these rows. These right here, we're going to be working into those stitches. Well, I'll call them stitches because we are going to work into them. So you're going to yarn over and make 2 double crochets into the next space. So I like to grab a piece of yarn from the second stitch. Like, I don't like going straight to the space and do this, because it kind of creates a big space here. so I like to grab just a little bit of a stitch from the second one and place there 2 double crochets like that. Then yarn over, and into the next space you're going to make 2 double crochets, just like what we just did. Make 2 double crochets into the next, 2 double crochets into the next space, so this is my last stitch here. I'm placing there 2 double crochets, and then after that you're going to slip stitch on top of the chain, the 3rd chain. Okay, so now we are off to our 2nd row for the sleeve. So we're now going to start working on our 2nd row for the sleeve, but before that I need you to hold your sleeve starting from the shoulders here. Hold it, and then you're going to count 8 stitches on both sides. So we're going to start with this one right here. Hope you see it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to mark this stitch here. It's the 8th stitch. Go ahead and mark that stitch. Okay, and then you're going to count 8 stitches on this other side. Remember, you have already counted this one, the one on top. So you're going to count from this next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 8th one. And you're going to place there a stitch marker as well. Like that. Okay, so remember here we've chained 3. And you have to turn your work at the end of every row. So turn your work and make 1 double crochet in each and every stitch until you get to the stitch marker. Make 1 double crochet into each stitch till you get to the stitch marker there. Once you get to the stitch marker, you're going to take the stitch marker out, and then you're going to place there 2 double crochets. That's 2 double crochets, and you're going to place 2 double crochets in each and every stitch until you get to this next stitch marker that we have. So make 2 double crochets in each stitch. So when you get to the next stitch marker, you're going to take it out and then place there 2 double crochets, And then you can put the stitch marker back if you know that the stitches might confuse you, like if you may not remember where you started the increases or where you stopped making increases from. I advise that you put your stitch markers back. Though for me, I know where they start and where I stopped at, so I really don't have to do that, but I advise that you do it. So once you're done with that stitch, you're going to yarn over, and this time keep making 1 double crochet in each of the next stitches until you get to the end for this row, making 1 double crochet into each stitch. So once you get to the end of the row, you're going to slip stitch on top of the chain 3, chain 3, and turn your work. Make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the stitch marker. Okay, so now that we are at the stitch markers, you're going to take the stitch marker out and place there 2 double crochets. So we are making those increases again until we get to the second stitch marker. So place 2 double crochets in each and every stitch here until you get to the second stitch marker. So once you get to the next stitch marker, place there 2 double crochets, and then make 1 double crochet into the next and all the stitches until you get to the end. So get to the end, place there your last double crochet and slip stitch on top of the chain 3 that you started with, like that, and then chain 3, turn your work. So for row, we now have 1, 2, 3 for our sleeve, 3 rows for our sleeve. So for row 4 and 5, you're going to do normal double crochets, like 1 double crochet in each and every stitch, and you're going to do that for 2 rows. So row 4, make 1 row of 1 double crochet in each stitch, get to the end, slip stitch, chain 3, and make your 5th row of double crochets in each stitch, and then I'll meet you once you have that completed, and then I'll be showing you what to do. At the end of your 5th row, your work should be looking like this, like that. So now you're going to chain 3, turn your work, make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the point where you started making your increases, where you started making your increases from, or where you have your stitch marker. So you're going to stop at that point, and then I'll get there and show you from there what we're going to do to start our decreases. So I'm now at the point where my increases started from. When you look closely, this is where they had started at, so I'm at that point. So you should be at the point where you placed your stitch marker. So from there we're going to start our decreases because we need this part to be smaller now. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, pull through 2, you'll have two loops left on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, pull through 2, you'll have 3 left on your hook, insert your hook into the next, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2, you will have 5 loops on your hook, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop and pull through 2, you will have 6 loops left on your hook, and at this point you're going to pull through all the 6 loops from your hook and then chain 1, and you're going to repeat that into the next stitches until you get to your next stitch marker. So simply yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull through 2, insert your hook into the next, pull through 2, insert your hook into the next, pull up a loop and pull through 2, you have 4 now, insert your hook into the next, pull through 2, you have 5, insert your hook into the next stitch, and 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then you have to pull through all the 6 loops from your hook and then chain 1, yarn over and repeat that until you get to your next stitch marker. So we're only doing this at here where we placed our stitch, where we made our increases from. So now I'm 2 stitches to the last 2 spaces of the stitch where I stopped making my increases. So it really doesn't matter if you have like 2 stitches left or 3, just simply go through them making a decrease, like just do the 2 together, it won't affect your work. And from there continue making 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the end, and then slip stitch in the chain 3. So I'm now at the end of my row, so you're simply going to slip stitch on top of the chain 3 like that, then chain 3 and turn your work. So from here you're going to make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the point where we started making these decreases from. So go ahead and make the double crochets until you get to the stitch marker, and from there I'll show you what to do. So once you get to the point where you started making the decreases from, or where you have your stitch marker, you're going to make your first decrease here, and this time we're making only 2. So that's 1 and then 2, and then you're going to pull through the 2 stitches, and then you're going to make 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Alright, and then you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, you'll have 2 loops left on your hook, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, pull through 2, and you'll have 3 loops left on your hook, and this time you're going to pull through all the 3 loops. So it's 2 together and then 1 double crochet, 2 together and then 1 double crochet. So there is a stitch here in between. Remember not to skip it. Once you get to the point where your second stitch marker is, you're going to make your normal double crochets until you get to the end. So make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the very end, and slip stitch on top of the chain 3. Okay, so once you get to the end, slip stitch on top of the chain 3. Chain 3, turn your work, make your double crochets until you get to where your stitch marker is. So once you get to your stitch marker, you're going to insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop and pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop and pull through 2. You will have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop and pull through 2, which will leave you with 4 loops on your hook, and then you're going to pull through all the 4 loops from your hook. And you're going to repeat that into the next 3 stitches. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop and pull through 2. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next, pull through 2, and you have 4 loops left on your hook, and pull through all the 4 loops. And you're going to repeat that until you get to your stitch marker. Once you get to the end, make your normal double crochets until you get to the very end and slip stitch on top of the chain 3 that we started with. We're now working on our 9th row of our sleeve. So this time you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to turn your work, and you're going to make 1 single crochet in each and every stitch across until you get to the end. Make 1 single crochet in each stitch until you get to the very end. So get to the end of the row and slip stitch in the first single crochet you made. Chain 2, turn your work, and then you're going to make 2 more rows of single crochets. So go ahead and make another row of single crochet, get to the end, and slip stitch in the first single crochet and make your last row of single crochet. And I'll meet you back once you have that completed. Once you get to the very end of your single crochet, chain 1 and cut the yarn, and you are done with your sleeve. And I hope you are happy with how it has turned out. So at the end of it, your work should be looking like this. You will be what you'll do is tie this in the middle and just organize it very well, and just make a knot here. That's it. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.